Thank you for inviting me to your center. It has been so much fun to be here. And I'm just so looking forward to creating content with you so that I can fulfill the intention of the Infinite Bridge to create content that allures, challenges, and evolves the human condition. And that's what I've experienced here with you. And it's been magical. Like I told your family member, it's been unworldly.
Absolutely, you're welcome.
Yeah. So tell me about the Advanced Energy Center. What do you do here?
So with the Advanced Energy Center, we started this in August of last year, 2023. August 1st of 2023 is when we opened this center. It's a pretty cool story.
You started the center last year with the EE system, but you've been a practitioner for years with energy medicine, energy transformation.
Yes, absolutely. So, we've been in natural health for about 18 years now, a little over that, probably.
18 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. We started with hyperbarics back in the day, and I basically went to a center in Georgia and saw a huge benefit through my vision. I'm actually visually impaired, which has been one of the biggest blessings in my life, because I've been able to find all these modalities and help other people. So it's been really cool.
Wow.
But we went to Georgia, and I got in my first hyperbaric chamber, and it took away my retinal blue flashes in an hour, and they never came back. So it was really cool. So I said, we got to do this for people.
From your own experience, that's what you experienced.
Right, from
Wow.
my own experience, which is really cool.
Wow.
So that's kind of where it all started. And so here we are today, and with the EE system. The EE system is a beautiful technology that Dr. Sandra Rose Michael created. And she was a healer, has been a healer, for many, many years, since the 70s. And she created this system in the 90s, and had all kinds of clinical trials done on it in 2001. And here we are today, 22 years later or 23 years later. And the system is just now coming to its fruition, really. This technology is based on biophotonic light.
Okay.
And it's also based on toroidal fields. So it's creating that energy space where it's basically like it's as if you were in a forest. If you can imagine yourself in a forest,
Mm-hmm.
and that forest there's no chaotic energy, there's nothing. It's just beautiful, perfect energy.
Perfect balance.
Perfect balance.
Okay. So I haven't understood that all things are three things.
Mm-hmm.
There are three planes to vibration.
Mm-hmm.
There is a conscious state, an energetic state, and a physical state to everything. So what you're saying is this EE system was intentionally created to balance all those states in a controlled environment.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
So when you come in this room, I've renamed this room the sanctuary, because I feel it's sacred. It's a sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy that's in this room is so nice, and hopefully you can feel it.
I can feel it. As soon as I walked in the first day, I could feel it.
Yeah.
It felt like I was coming home.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could describe it.
Absolutely.
Like I mentioned to you on the way here, I was taking an Uber and I was tired from my flight, woke up really early, and on the way here, about a mile out, I just stood right up in my seat and I was like, I got this whiff of energy, and it just kept building all the way here. And I know that sounds ridiculous for most people, but I'm a really sensitive person because I've done a lot of energy work, and I've done a lot of the evolutionary, disciplinary, sacrificing work.
Yeah.
So I'm really sensitive when it shows up, and yeah, it felt like home. That's the only way I can describe it.
That's fantastic to hear. I'm glad, because this system does scale out many miles. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool that we're helping everyone around as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice feeling. But so yeah, the EE system it's a wonderful technology. You will get a different experience every time you come in this room. It's really cool, because your body, I can't tell you what your body's going to experience in this room. I can't tell you what your body's going to do. It has its own agenda based on the field, the energy field. So,
Right, yeah.
um,
Your conscious state, emotional state,
absolutely,
the environment you've been on, who you've been interfacing with, it all plays a factor into what's going to be amplified when you show up.
absolutely.
Yeah. That's what makes the actual experience unique for each and every person.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've noticed I've been here experiencing all your methodologies,
Mm-hmm.
or most of them,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been here for 4 days, and each and every time I walk through this room and I enter into the EE system you have set up here, it's completely different. Sometimes I feel energy, I feel my heart like I'm happy. Sometimes my stomach is upset.
Yeah.
And sometimes my head is buzzing. And I know each and every time it's adjusting me
Right.
because it's the full spectrum of light
Yes.
that's getting emitted into this system, through this system. And I'm fascinated by it. And we're going to jump into those subjects in depth, each one of those kind of key aspects that we just kind of ran through.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do so, I would love if you can because a lot of people don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I have worked with some of the most extraordinary healers and natural alternative medicine companies, and I've explored and experienced, and I've been studying since I was 15. I'm 23 now. And this has been the subject of my obsession since I first became aware of it, really.
Mm-hmm.
And you are by far one of the most advanced, conscious, emotional, aware people that I've crossed paths with. And it's been an energetic high for me to be interfacing with you this whole time.
Well, thank
And
you.
I know a lot of people that aren't sensitive to energy, with energy, aren't going to be able to feel that. They're information minds.
Right.
And I would love if we can give them a little information on your experience. How many years you've been in the methodologies, how many years you've been studying and practicing, and who you've worked with through the years, because you've worked with some of the most advanced people in these fields. And I have written down right here that Dr. Bob Marshall, or Robert Marshall,
Yes.
with the Q&A, he,
QN Labs, PR Labs, yes.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those labs. Yeah,
Mhm.
tell us about your experience with him.
Yes, so Dr. Marshall is, there's not that many people in this world that you can put up on these pedestals.
Right.
And Dr. Bob Marshall is one of those guys. I truly believe that everybody that's great in any way has had to face a challenge in their life.
Yeah.
And
What's in the way is the way.
Right, that's right, absolutely. And Dr. Bob Marshall is one of those guys. He, in 1987, was exposed to a toxic chemical that basically tried to eat up his lungs, and it was lots of different challenges that he had to face, deadly challenges. Everybody else that was exposed to that same chemical actually ended up passing away very quickly. And so Dr. Bob Marshall used his techniques and his abilities to, his energetic abilities to basically heal himself from within.
Wow.
And so he taught that to the world. It's actually the technology that he uses, or that's actually not a technology. It's more of a methodology or modality that he uses is it's thousands of years old, Ayurvedic medicine that's been lost, and he brought it back. So it's really beautiful to see that come back. And I have utilized I've been personally trained by him and utilized his.
So you trained with him one-on-one. You were mentored by him in his methodologies.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And so
I love that.
Yeah, it was a wonderful time in my life. And kind of backing up just a minute, where I come from is basically I was born legally blind. My mother ended up going into an X-ray with my sister. She broke her arm. She was 2 years old. And so that happened, and then she went into an X-ray in the first trimester with me, where the eyes are actually splitting apart. So I'm literally one of 2 people in the world with my eye condition.
So to clarify, your mother was in a hospital having her younger daughter getting an X-ray, and her stomach with you in it was exposed to those radiations, and that caused a deformation of your structure, your growth.
Yes.
And that's how you got clinically blind.
And thankfully, I was not, nothing else happened. That was it. That was the only issue that happened.
It only affected your vision.
It only affected the vision. That was it. So that was beautiful. But it's been the biggest blessing in my life, because about 15 years ago, I've been in natural health for a long time, and just just trying to maintain this vision and maintain my level of health. And about 15 years ago, my eye doctor told me, he said, you're going to need to start learning Braille, and you're going to need to start getting your affairs in order, because that eye is not in good shape, and it's not going to last you another 5 years.
Wow. And how old were you when the doctor told you that?
I was about 25.
You were 25, and you were
Yeah.
given 5 years before you were going to be
Yeah.
completely blind.
Yeah.
And how old are you now?
41.
You're 41, and I
Not
see
bad.
you moving around better than I see most people moving around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see you reading more information and helping more people than anyone I've ever met.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah. So
And working with Dr. Bob Marshall, that only amplified
absolutely.
the belief in the ability to maintain yourself.
Well, it gave me that push to say, I can't, I'm not gonna, I don't accept that. I don't believe it, I don't accept it, and I'm not going to accept it. It's not gonna be my reality.
Right.
So that was 15 years ago. Here we are today, sitting here, and my vision's better than it's ever been. And that's a lot credited to everything I've done. So,
It's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, not only your physical vision, but your mental vision is one of the strongest I've ever encountered.
Thanks.
That's
Thanks, I appreciate
amazing.
that.
I love that story. And I love that because it truly is, for anyone that's going to be listening to this video, when you hear and you observe somebody honestly expressing a story of growth like that, of what's in the way is the way,
Yep.
taking your weakness and turning it into your strength.
Yeah.
And that's what you really did there.
Yeah.
And I love that. You
Yeah.
had you were born with less, and you're coming out with more than anyone,
Yeah.
really. And you've used it to surpass and quantum leap into
Yeah.
into all this stuff. Really, you didn't give yourself an excuse, and I admire that so much. I can't even tell you.
Well,
It's
thank
awesome.
you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been out of necessity for sure,
Right.
all along the way, but
Right.
it's been cool because at one point several years ago, I was told by one of my best friends. She came to my house and she said, "Look," she said, "you know too much. You know what you're doing. You're doing the world a disservice if you don't practice this. If you don't bring this to the world, you're doing the world a disservice."
Yeah.
And it hit home. I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, she's right. Okay, well, I better get with it and start doing this. It's
Wow.
not a money-making venture for me. It's all about helping people."
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah, and I think that's another thing is Bruce Lee would always say, and I know Bruce Lee's such a commercial name these days because of, our commercial world, but Bruce Lee really got it. And
Yeah.
he really understood what we're talking about when we're talking about consciousness and human potential.
yeah,
And one of my favorite quotes, and I think where all his magic came from as a person that manifested a really unique reality,
yeah,
a powerful one that to this day everyone's aware of it. His name is just as big as Michael Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone knows that name.
everybody knows it.
That quote from Bruce Lee where he said, "The hardest thing to do is to honestly express yourself,
Right.
to authentically, honestly express yourself in everything you do." And the reason why I think you've had such a big impact and become such an amazing practitioner in your field of work is that you have a real, honest, authentic passion and desire and drive. When I see you working with people, you love what you're doing. It motivates you and it drives you and it brings energy out of you. And that's extremely rare in our world. Majority of people I talk to, they don't want to go to work and they don't want to be creative because they're being involved in methodologies and fields and practices that they didn't have a passion for.
Right.
They were culturally accepted.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not authentic and that's not honest expression. That's, they're doing the best that they know how to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm excited for videos like this, to wake people up to the potential that there is something that can really open up more levels of fulfillment in our expression on a day-to-day basis when it comes to work and play and peace and everything in between.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dr. Bob Marshall, can you tell them a little bit about some of his methodologies? What was he known for?
So Dr. Bob Marshall, his biggest accomplishment was, and a lot of people have heard of this today because it's so popularized, but whole food supplements.
Whole food supplements.
Whole food supplements, basically, that he coined that term. That is Dr. Bob Marshall, because we know in nature, everything found in nature is perfect balance.
Right.
And it's when we start splitting things off and creating these heavily processed things, that's when we start getting into trouble, because we lose that balance in nature.
Right.
And so those whole food supplements was probably his biggest accomplishment. And from now, he's no longer with us, but so now he's not getting to see that anymore, that fruition of where it came now.
Right, the evolution of it.
The evolution of it, yeah, absolutely. But
Right.
his second biggest accomplishment, one that I use every day, would be called QRA, or quantum reflex analysis. It's a type of applied kinesiology,
Okay.
and he always called it energy eyes.
Energy eyes.
Yeah.
So it's a form of like muscle testing and
Yes.
learning how to communicate with the subconscious brain.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, and it's a muscle, so when you use it, if you've never used it before, you got to definitely work with it and try to make sure you figure it out. But
I've
yeah.
seen you work with it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have to speak about details of it, but I will say that I've observed, read, and studied and worked with tons of practitioners. I can't even count how many.
Mm-hmm.
And their ability to diagnose or become aware of a patient's cause and effect or their symptoms, the disease, the body that's not at ease, to be able to find what's causing the disease, that's where the ability to rebalance starts.
Yes.
Right? And your ability that you've honed in on, the communication that you've developed through that methodology that you just explained, nothing that I've ever seen compares to that. It is, and I refer back to this, and I'll refer back to it always and all throughout this interview. We have 6 mental faculties: reason, memory, perception, will, intuition, and imagination. And that is the only function of our consciousness. That is how it expresses itself. The mental muscle of intuition gives us the ability to tune into the vibrational information around us. And it's never wrong, because energy never lies.
That's right.
And that's what Bruce Lee was talking about when he said, honestly express yourself. To
Yes.
honestly express yourself is to work with energy.
Yes.
And that is what you're doing when you're using your methodology to read a person's state, so to speak. And it is extraordinary. It is extraordinary. I wish I could go into detail and go really into depth with that, but I think that the people that resonate with that will show up in perfect timing, because that's how energy works. That's how it dances.
Absolutely. That's one thing that we at this clinic, and ever since we opened many years ago, we are word of mouth. We do not advertise.
Right.
People show up here, and it's incredible to see. It's
Yeah.
it's all energy. That's all you can say. They walk in that door, and
Yeah.
sometimes they don't even know why they're here, and it's like, well,
A mental muscle of intuition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reading energy, picking up on energy, you feel it.
Absolutely.
Just like when your phone is in your pocket and you're thinking about somebody and you go to reach it because you want to text that person, and as soon as you pick it up, there's a message from that person.
Yes.
Intuition.
Absolutely.
It's communication. It's energetic exchange, and there is no distance, no time in that world. It's feeling.
Absolutely.
And that leads back to the EE system
Yes.
perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go on to a few other people that you've trained with, because the EE system is intentionally designed, from what I have understood, to create an environment that is a full spectrum of light. And that light gives us the ability to resonate and tune ourselves back into order, because we're made of the full spectrum of light.
That's right.
Yeah, and we're going to go back to that subject in depth after we go through a few more of the people that you've worked with, because you've worked with some extraordinary people. So if I don't get there, remind me.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob Marshall, extraordinary name. One of the pioneers in human potential and human natural alternative medicine and health and energy work. Just amazing.
Absolutely.
I'm jealous that you worked with him.
He's an incredible human being.
That's amazing, and I'm so grateful to work with you, because you are seriously doing him justice with what you've learned.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Linda Forbes. She's a practitioner, a doctor, an EM, a student of Vastu. that I have
Yes.
understood.
Mhm.
Tell me about her. You worked with her.
Linda Forbes is one of the most intelligent human beings I've ever met in my entire life. She's one of these people that when you're speaking with her, when she's speaking to you, she is so advanced or far above where you're talking that literally 5 minutes later you're going, oh, okay, that's what she was talking about. I get it now.
Wow.
So
So you have to quantify.
you have to really, but she'll get it. She'll get the information. It's just extremely. She's one of those people that's just so far up there that you really have to let it process for a while until.
It's so fun to interface with people like that, isn't it?
Yes,
Oh, man,
absolutely.
it's a treat.
Yeah. So she's Vastu is an ancient technique of basically getting rid of chaotic energy in environments, and so it's a fun energy to play with, and
Okay.
she is a master at it for sure. So she's taught me a lot about how to energetically balance spaces.
Wow.
So it's really
I heard Dr. Bruce Lipton last year in San Diego speak at the TCC-HE conference, if I'm saying that correctly.
yeah
And he said that his new statistics in his work has proven that environment beats mindset 90% of the time,
yeah
because your environment is your comfort zone.
yes
And if you haven't gone through the work of energetically balancing it and filling it with the things that maximize your fulfillment and expression energetically, it'll consistently dumb you down, consistently
absolutely
drain you.
absolutely
And so that's why I'm in love with the EE system. It is the perfect environment.
it's the perfect
Taking our greatest weakness, the electronics that have caused all this chaos, and turning it into perfect balance that can amplify everything.
yes
And man, I would just love to
It's-
see a system like this in a gym, a
Yeah,
system like this
yeah.
in a place where people go for healing or
Yes.
for advanced techniques of any kind.
yes
Yeah.
and it's the perfect time for it
Yeah.
in history, just because we live in such an interesting world right now.
Yeah.
And it's fun to be a part of that, using technology to further and advance helping people rather than the opposite of that. So
Bob Proctor would always say, don't be good little go-getters, be good little go-givers.
yeah, absolutely, it's
To
giving
be of
back.
service.
It's
Everything you
giving
do
back.
to and for another, you do to and for yourself.
That's right. Absolutely. It comes back full circle. And that's one of the beautiful things about EE system is it's based on infinity loop of technology. So, if you think about things as an infinity loop or an 8, a sideways 8, it's everything always, what goes around comes around. It's just, that saying is so deep. But
Dr. Nassim Haramein, when he was in Dr. Leonard Horowitz's living room in Hawaii doing a get-together with some of the most advanced scientists, they figured out by adding certain equations in that the human body doesn't just have a toroidal field. It has a double toroidal field. It's
right.
an 8.
Yeah.
And so the information, the reception and transmission coming through your body energetically is moving in a perfect 8 all the way around you, just like the
Right.
sine wave of the Earth.
That's right.
And so I
Yes.
totally grasp what you're talking about.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
say it beautifully. So
Thanks. Well, you brought it up, and
Yeah,
I'm here to back you up.
thanks.
To the best of my ability. What else did Linda Forbes? What else? She's a practitioner of what kind? I know Vastu, but what else was she known for?
Linda's got a lot of letters behind her name.
Yeah.
She's a chiropractor. She's an energy medicine practitioner. She's got, I can't even count the amount of methodologies that woman has
mastered.
And to say mastered, she can, if you think I'm good at what I do, literally this woman can look at you and say, you need 12 of this whole food supplement, and you take that and you feel better.
Just by observing you.
Just by observing you. She
Man,
doesn't
I
even
love
have
it.
to muscle test. She just looks at you and
That's
says
amazing.
it. So it's very cool.
The emotional fitness, emotional intelligence a human like that has is just, it's like amazing. It's so addicting. It's like once in a while when you are really hungry and you eat some food that makes you feel so satisfied,
Yeah.
being around people like that is that satisfaction, that
Absolutely.
download, that information that is just so needed,
Yeah.
even though we are
Absolutely.
needless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. I also have it understood that you worked with Corey Hutter,
Corey Herter.
Corey Herter,
Yes. Yeah.
aka Core Love.
Core Love.
Core Love. I love that name.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
What was he known for? What kind of
He was
methodologies?
known for, so Corey Herter actually, when he was a child, got in a car accident.
Mhm.
And it was his brother. I think his brother was in the middle seat. He was on the outside, and his dad or grandpa, I don't remember who was driving, but anyway, he got hit in the side, and so he got a traumatic brain injury. And what that traumatic brain injury did for him when he was a child is it actually really made the pineal gland of his the center of the brain,
Mhm.
which for people that don't know what a pineal gland is, it's basically a pine cone shaped gland that's in the center of the brain. A lot of people call it the third eye,
Mhm.
and because it connects you
Tiny
to
little
that,
guy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it connects you to that spiritual world. And
The energetic world.
absolutely.
Okay.
And so he spent over, I don't know how many hours. I'm not even going to guess. I know it's at least over 200 hours, basically in the afterlife, because what he did was it would, every time that traumatic brain injury would trigger, it would trigger a huge rush of DMT, dimethyltryptophan.
To develop in his body.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And so essentially, like people are taking ayahuasca and different things today,
Yeah.
you would get that. He got
naturally.
He got that naturally from
Yeah.
that traumatic brain injury. So that was his biggest blessing, of his life, was having that happen to him.
Yeah.
At first, he didn't think so. He didn't want to live. But then after that, he started channeling and started talking to, other beings,
Higher forms of
higher
intelligence.
forms of intelligence for
Yeah.
sure, and got downloads from that of sacred geometry. And so
Yeah.
he's the kind of the guy that coined that term of sacred geometry.
So
and
he
made
was
it
the
popular.
pioneer in sacred geometry that kind of turned it into what we know as popular modern day new age, shirts and pictures and
Absolutely.
art. He was the one who laid the foundation for that in a big way.
Absolutely.
And you got to work with him one-on-one.
I did.
And he taught, I have it written down here, that he taught sacred geometry, that the specific geometry that he taught was in alignment with the energetic flow of the earth. Am I saying that
Yes.
correctly?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Mhm.
it was he used the earth as a grid.
As a grid.
Yeah. So that geometry that you're talking about, I mean, that actually aligns with that grid. So therefore, it gives you that, perfect balance and bypasses space and time, because it's working with those toroidal fields just like in this room. The electronic form of what he was working with is in this room, but yeah, his was.
He was tapping into the original source of it.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's amazing. And not that these systems aren't tapping into that source.
They are, yeah.
They are tapping into it in their own way, but we do it because it's our nature to do it.
Right, absolutely.
And he was able to, without using any other source of substance,
Yes.
ingested or external,
Mhm.
he was doing that purely internal with conscious work.
That's right.
And
Yes.
that's what sets him apart. And when I heard you tell his story, I was like, wow, that is a highly evolved human, somebody of a high level of perspective, a high level of intuition, a high level of will.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
And you got to work on him with him one-on-one.
Yes.
And man, the downloads, the upgrades you downloaded from working with someone like that, I can feel them when I'm with you. Yeah, that's amazing. And and this is a big name. This is a name that pretty much everyone's going to know about if they've done any extensive research or studying or taken any time to understand how natural alternative medicine works to any degree. Dr. Jerry Tennant, you
Yes.
worked with him one-on-one.
I have worked with him. I wouldn't call it one-on-one, but definitely very intimately.
Very
Yes.
intimately, yeah.
And it's he works with a few people at a time.
Right.
But yeah, it's.
But you were mentored by him in person.
I was.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And he is. I put him right up there with Dr. Bob Marshall, Dr. Linda Forbes, Corey Herter. He is one of those humans that is just literally a pioneer, and a name that, like he says himself, one of those people that gets to see the fruition of what he has created in his lifetime. A lot of people don't get to see that.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool. He's a very, very intelligent, very incredible human being. I'll tell you something funny about Jerry Tennant that I really, really, really found that was very, one of the most powerful things I've ever heard anybody say. And it's simple, but it really resonated with me. One of the smartest men I know, working with this man and seeing him, and then he designs a concept. So he will tell you about a concept. He'll say, here's how I understand this, da 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 da, whatever he's talking about. He'll say, this is how I understand it.
Yeah.
And then he'll say, very, very non-egotistical, he'll say, show me where I'm wrong. And he's literally wanting to learn. If there is something off, he wants to learn how to fix it.
You can feel the authenticity in that communication,
Absolutely.
The humbleness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, that level of willingness to learn and willingness to accept change
Right.
for the age that he was at already, and the amount of information that he had was way superior to most people. To maintain a mindset like that is so unique. So rare.
Absolutely. And I picked up on that working with him, because I was just, I was shocked and amazed. And I'm like, a man of this much intelligence and knowledge and wisdom is asking his peers and everyone around him to
Students,
show
everyone,
everyone to show him, if he's off in some way. And that says so much about him.
From a humble perspective.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah. What was Jerry Tennant known for? Maybe a few devices or methodologies. So those are the people that are listening that aren't aware of his name and might want to do some research on him.
Absolutely.
What are some techniques, some products that he's developed, or something that stands out to you that you'd like to share?
So he has a kind of like Dr. Marshall, he has a line of nutraceuticals as well that are amazing. And he does some essential oils that are really good as well. He does, his most famous would be the biomodulator and the biotransducer. Those two technologies working together are absolutely far superior to a lot of modalities that I've seen, just because they're so powerful. It's actually kind of like it's basically kind of like this room, and Sandra talks about Jerry Tennant a lot in some of her interviews, just because this room is like, if you can imagine, this room is basically like an overall whole body system that you can go into, and your body will do whatever it needs to do within this energy. But the biotransducer and biomodulator are the same kind of concept as this room, but yet they're like a pinpoint accurate technology. So I can take that technology and I can go straight to your liver, and I can treat that area, or I can go straight to the lungs, or straight to the heart, or whatever I need to do, and I can actually specifically tune those to help exactly pinpoint what they need.
So what I'm hearing you say is, because you've developed such a high ability of communication with diagnosing or observing somebody's disease, Dr. Jerry Tennant, created a technology that allows you to take the same energy that the EE system is working with and use it in a focused manner.
That's right.
So you can blow out certain circuitries to a certain degree to help rebalance the whole system.
Blow out or reconnect, either one.
Blow out, reconnect, rebalance. Wow,
Yes.
that's amazing. And so that's one of the technologies that he pioneered and advanced and created.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what he's known for.
What's the name of that?
It's called the Tennant Biomodulator and Tennant Biotransducer. So,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, it's
That's amazing.
a little bit longer names, but
Well, yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
those are some amazing technologies, and he's written some books. One of the best books you'll ever read is Healing is Voltage.
Healing is Voltage by Dr. Jerry Tennant. That's amazing.
Yes.
Man, to work with these people is just, that's extraordinary. And you can tell,
I've been very fortunate.
yeah, it's such a beautiful lifestyle. It's so fulfilling. That's amazing. Yeah. back to Sandra for a moment. Sandra Rose Michael,
Yes.
the inventor of the EE system that stands between us, that is
Yes.
surrounding us in this room.
Yeah.
You have in your center here in Oklahoma a 24 screen setup,
That's
24 monitor screen setup.
Right.
And that's the room we're sitting in right now.
Yes.
What is going on? What did she create here? Let's talk a little bit about her specifically,
Yeah.
your experience with, studying and observing her work.
Yeah. So my first introduction to Sandra Rose Michael was through a lady that I highly respect. You've actually met her the other day.
Yeah.
And she actually brought me a video one day. She said, there's a YouTube video, and it was Sandra Rose Michael with the most popular video that's out there of her and Jason Shirka.
Jason Shirka and
Yep.
Sandra Rose talking about the EE system.
Talking about the EE system.
And that's what turned you on to it.
Well, it's interesting because I'd worked with Jerry Tennant before that, so I knew the technology.
Yeah.
And so
it resonated.
It
with
resonated, absolutely. And so I decided, I said, you know what, let's gather this, let's find a center and we'll go to one and check it out, and see how it goes. And so after watching that video, I was like, yeah, this is legit. And so I was like, let's check out a center. So we went to this center in Durant, Oklahoma, actually. It's an 8-screen system. And by the time I left there, I actually had clearer vision after 2 hours of being in this thing. And I'm like, okay, something's going on here for sure. And I'm so sensitive to energy, I was doing all kinds of testing. People probably thought I was crazy in this room because I'm sitting here doing all kinds of testing and I'm like, what is going on here? Okay, let's figure this out. And so that was in November of 2022. So we decided at that time to proceed and well, not at that time, actually in January of 23, we decided to proceed and build this system here because it was, we went to Durant a few times and got even more benefit and realized how that worked. And so I said, let's put this in our clinic. And
so after 17 or 18 years of being a practitioner on your own, having the methodologies you learned from some of the people we listed below and many others, you wanted to incorporate the EE system into your center.
Absolutely.
Because you, from your own experience, loved it.
I did, and I saw the potential.
Yeah.
I knew that we could incorporate all these modalities together, mesh all that together and build a beautiful center.
Wow.
And that's really what's happened here. It's an amazing, incredible space.
In your space, you have some amazing methodologies. I also haven't understood that you studied Paul Harsh.
Paul Harsh.
Dr.
Paul Harsh.
Dr. Paul Harsh. And that's a really big name in the world of hyperbaric chambers. Yeah.
Yeah, he's considered the pioneer of a lot of the way hyperbarics is done today.
And athletes all around the world use it.
Absolutely.
Natural alternative clinics use it all around the world.
Yes, and I'll give an honorable mention to Bill Schindler.
Bill Schindler?
Bill Schindler out of Atlanta, Georgia, or north of Atlanta, Georgia. He's an incredible human being. And I got the ability to be trained by him, and he works directly with Paul Harsh. So he's one-on-one with Paul Harsh.
Wow.
And so I was able to work with him as well, and just wonderful. That's where I got my first hyperbaric experience, was in outside of Atlanta with Bill Schindler.
And you have a hyperbaric chamber in your center now.
We do.
And you offer that methodology to the people interested.
We do. It pairs so well with the EE system. We've seen incredible things out of this center. I mean, people that have worked with, in the allopathic world with things that, like non-healing wounds and different things that they have not been able to help at all. And
you've seen some amazing
completely
results.
Back to normal now, so we'll avoid certain words, but
Yeah. And they found a way to balance themselves.
They found a way to balance themselves here, so it's beautiful.
Yeah, with avoiding any controversial topics, balance is the way we'll communicate what goes on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
balance.
that's exactly. So here in your center, the EE system is a chamber or sanctum or sanctuary, a room that people can come in and sit down or lay down,
right.
depending on their condition.
Right.
And while they're in the environment of this sanctum or this room, these monitors that you have in four corners that are perfectly balanced, that you've worked with energetically, they give people a momentary break, if it's 2 hours, an hour, 3 hours,
Right.
to come in contact with the full spectrum of light in perfect balance so that they can resonate with it. And you offer that here at your clinic.
We do.
Wow. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify, because I know that, but for the people listening,
Yeah.
the people who don't understand what this is or why we're interfacing with it and why it's so important to us. And it wasn't important to me after 5 days ago. I've been experiencing over the last 4 days, and it's just been otherworldly.
Yes.
That's the only words I can communicate it with.
Yes.
That's amazing. You explained that the wand, the healing clear, that works on all three planes, the one from
Jerry Tennant.
Jerry Tennant, that's
The
another
biotransducer.
the biotransducer wand. That is another methodology that you use here at your center to balance people with.
Absolutely. So what I have found to be the most powerful is to literally balance that person energetically where they may be off in some way, balance that, and then according to the work of Jerry Tennant, healing is voltage. Well, if you can imagine a cell, and a cell is light, right? Well, whenever you have a cell, it's spinning in a certain direction. If it's spinning in a clockwise direction, that is actually benefiting you. That's actually a cell that has voltage. And Jerry Tennant explains it perfectly by saying, if you can imagine a car battery, and a car battery, whenever it dies completely, that car battery will actually, if you can imagine it just completely dead, no juice in it left at all.
Car don't start.
Car don't start. It's that the battery will flip its polarities upside down. So our cells will actually start spinning counterclockwise.
When they're out of balance.
When they're out of balance, that's what they do. When they lose their charge completely, they can go and go and go clockwise. And then once they completely lose that charge, then they start spinning counterclockwise. And that's when dis-ease of any kind starts showing up. And that's the basics of Jerry Tennant's modalities. But
Specifically around the wand.
right.
Yeah.
Or even the biomodulator, where you have different hand grips and foot plates you stand on, and actual electrodes and different things you use.
And there's a lot of versions of that technology out there. And you use these methods and these machines because through your own experience, observation, and practice, you're aware that they balance better than anything else so far.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when somebody needs specific balancing, that's what, for a general healthy person, I'll just send them in the room and say, go enjoy the room.
Right.
But for somebody that needs specific energetic balancing, somebody that may not be, in a good space.
Well, there's
a lot of those people now, and becoming a lot more.
Right. Well, I mean, a scar can cause that.
Right. Absolutely.
A dramatic event, an emotional download,
Right.
negative or positive,
That's
can
right.
cause that.
And emotion is probably one of the worst things that can cause that, from childhood or whatever.
And I haven't understood, completely agree with you, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I haven't understood that all things are three things. When you're communicating with somebody's field, body, and mind, and you're diagnosing them, so to speak, or observing what's going on in them, there's a mesh, an energetic mesh or screen that can get torn. And if it's torn from a scar, from an emotional damage, from a dis-ease, the whole body is going to be out of whack. It's not going to be balanced because of that single emotion, scar, or dissatisfaction. So that methodology that you use with the wand allows you to blow that out and rebalance it.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
And using that car battery technique, what happens is basically with that wand, I'm spinning that cell back to the right direction. So I'm spinning it right, back to the clockwise position, and giving it some recharge. And then I send them into this room, and via Sandra Rose's technology, we
brings it all back
brings
together.
the charge back together.
For the
And
whole
it fully
system.
charges the whole system now
Not
that
just the single part that's out of whack.
right.
Wow. That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we already mentioned your oxygen chamber, the oxygen chamber, the hyperbarics that you have here in your center. You told me a story the other day about it with snakes.
Yeah.
Can you tell us that story? Because when I
Yeah.
heard that, I was like, wow, that made me respect the hyper chamber so much more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So several years ago, this is actually a pretty well-known story in hyperbaric world, but there were, at least, and if I don't get it 100% right, forgive me, but so there was rattlesnakes. I believe it was either one or multiple rattlesnakes. I can't remember which. But anyway, they put these rattlesnakes in a hyperbaric chamber at a specific pressure for, I believe it was 2 weeks. And these rattlesnakes actually tamed down. They were more tame, and they were less aggressive after the 2 weeks. And what the other thing, the main thing they noticed was that they no longer were venomous after 2 weeks.
Rattlesnakes are extremely venomous.
Yeah.
And they were no longer venomous after 2 weeks.
No longer venomous.
Their natural nature was calmer.
That's right.
Wow. Oxygen, the power of oxygen.
The power of oxygen, the eighth element. The eighth element, that infinity loop again.
There it is. Yeah, it balances everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's amazing. Such a cool story. Yeah, I got to experience the hyperbaric chamber today. And I have done advanced disciplines physically, mentally, energetically, and some of the highest points I've reached in focused thought, prayer, meditation, some of the highest levels of physical movement, some of the most advanced forms of informational downloads, the energy that I got from all those disciplines, I was able to experience it in 45 minutes.
About an hour,
About an hour inside of that chamber today, just by breathing in the oxygen and allowing the pressure and being and surrendering inside of it.
Hyperbarics is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you saw my face when I came out. I didn't want to come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Oxygen is extraordinary, and that is something that you can get in nature when you're out there hiking those really high peaks. When you're out there in those high altitudes and you're in movement, you're oxygenating the body and the blood flow is running, and
absolutely.
Or even when you're in a peaceful environment and you're focusing on breath work, you can take it to those levels.
Absolutely.
But for those of us that don't have the balance to allow us to focus, that don't have the balance to breathe that strong, those of us that are experiencing symptoms of that need breath work upgrades like asthma or other things that limit us to our potential.
Yep.
The oxygen chamber can take you there.
Yes.
And allow you to rebalance yourself with oxygen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so exciting. That's so cool. I love that.
You know, that's actually what, I don't remember who said it, but it's been said that really there's not much that doesn't benefit from extra oxygen.
Yeah, it increases the antioxidant production in the body, and that's what does the healing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my mentor, Dr. Horowitz, continuously preaches that message. It's all about antioxidants.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll come back to him soon, but
yes, absolutely.
You know, there's so many methodologies you apply here, and we don't have time to run through them all. But there is one more I want to mention because it was just really unique an experience. The Chi machine.
Yeah.
The ankle vibrator.
Yes.
You laid me on the floor and you put my ankles on this machine and it wiggled my body like a snake for 9 minutes.
Yes.
And
no, about six.
About 6 minutes.
And 2 minutes of rest after that.
And 2 minutes of rest and breathing and a slow uprising afterwards. I could feel energy vibrating from my toes to my head.
Yep.
And it was powerful.
Yes.
And I did nothing but breathe while I was shaking like a snake. What is that?
Yeah.
Why do you offer that?
Well, it's really cool. The Chi machine, I've known about it for many years, and specifically the Sun Ancon Chi machine is the one we use here for the people that are wondering. That machine is so powerful in combination with hyperbarics. I have found that to be amazing because when you have people in a certain state and they go into a hyperbaric chamber, they get huge, huge, huge benefit. It increases partial pressure of oxygen by a huge number.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you can actually move the lymph and you can actually swim, it's that fish movement is what it is. And so, it's like you said, snake, but it's also like a fish movement. That's how a fish oxygenates itself, is through those wiggles. And so this machine, you look like a interesting person while you're on it, but you're just literally laying there letting it just move you like a fish. And what it does is it increases and moves stagnant chi in the body, so stagnant energy, and it moves the lymph and it increases the oxygen. So it increases the oxygen potential. So when you go into that, when you do that chi machine and then you go in a hyperbaric chamber, it just exponentially,
double whammy.
Yeah.
Exponentially, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I experienced the chi machine, and this will be one of the last methodologies that we talk about that you apply here in your center, that you offer to the people you work with that show up for these methodologies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I experienced it, I noticed that automatically I had to surrender in order to experience it fully.
Yes.
My core was tight.
Right.
My neck didn't want to move. And when I was able to let go of my core muscles, let go of the neck, those were the places that I was holding the tension.
Right.
That was where the energetic off balance was.
Right.
And we found that out working through this weekend. And the energy flow after I let go of those patterns that were holding me back was extraordinary.
It will definitely show you where your issue is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful. It's simple. It's so simple, but it's so beautiful.
There's so much depth to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, simplicity is power.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could talk about that for hours.
Absolutely.
But one thing I want to mention to anybody that's listening is, yes, we talk about the names of these machines. We talk about the names of these methodologies, and yes, you can source them. You can go buy the EE system. You can go buy the Chi machine. You can go source your wand. You can go look at all these names and other names, and you can find machines and methodologies and use them yourself. But the thing that separates in a center like yours, and it's the reason why I wanted to talk about you before we talk about any other subject, is that you've worked with all these people. You've built up your intuition. You've built up your will. You've built up your perspective. And when you're working with these machines, they're not what does the balancing. They are tools for helping you balance the people that show up.
Right.
Because you've found a way, what's in the way is the way, to balance yourself.
Right.
You should not be able to be here. You should not be able to see. You should be handicapped. You shouldn't be reading hours and hours of books and information on the screen. You shouldn't be able to do these things. But you've developed the will, the mental muscles, the mental faculties that allow you to communicate with your own body and mind.
Right.
And when other people show up that don't have good communication, that leads to disease or decay, you can balance them because you have the perspective that you've been there and you've been here and you've seen other perspectives and you know exactly where somebody is when they show up.
Right.
And you have methodologies that when you can't tell, that'll help guide you to seeing it and communicating with it.
Right.
That's what separates you using these machines from anybody else being able to source them. And I'm not saying that people can't evolve to where you're at, but where you've evolved to should take people 5 lifetimes to get there. Working with as many people as you've worked with,
Right.
Spending as much time sacrificing, making it your lifestyle. That's what separates you. Your consciousness is the most powerful tool that you offer to whoever shows up at your center.
That's accurate. Yes.
And I don't mean to bring you up and tell you that you're better than anybody else.
No.
But I'm bringing this subject up because we come from a simple-minded culture. And people are all about saving money and maintaining their patterns and maintaining their paradigms. But if their patterns and their paradigms worked, they wouldn't have the problems, the diseases, the symptoms, the miscommunication in their bodies, in their environment, in their life,
That's right.
in their minds. So what separates you, and the reason why I'm really trying to make this a powerful point, is that it's all communication.
That's right.
And these tools help you communicate. The EE system is extraordinary, but if it's with somebody that doesn't know how to communicate, it's not going to be as extraordinary.
Right.
The wand is extraordinary, but if in somebody's hands that doesn't have an awareness of their own communication and doesn't know how to communicate with whoever shows up, it's not going to do anything near as powerful as what you can offer when you're working with somebody.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I love how humble you are when just agreeing that is hard for you.
It is. It is, because anybody can do it, but it's just, you know, I don't like the ego. I do.
Yeah.
I try to keep that out of it as much as possible, because, you know, everybody is a beautiful soul, and
Right.
you have to find that balance in that person. And I believe, I mean, going back to where we first started with this, I mean, you know, a lot of people are in jobs they're unhappy with, and I can 100% tell you that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's a great pleasure that I've had, and it's humbling to because I've worked with greats. I mean, I have literally worked beside greats.
The giants in the industries, the
yeah.
giants in consciousness, the giants in human potential. You've really been able to download and interface with them on a level that most people will never have the opportunity to.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to say. You have the downloads that you can offer people when they show up that separates you from other people, and you're humble about it.
Thanks.
You really are.
Appreciate
Communicating with you has been a delight. I communicate with people. I do customer service. I talk to thousands of people, and each and every one of them show up with a symptom, a problem, and the differentiating factor in all of these variables is communication. And the reason why I admire you as one of the most extraordinary practitioners in health and consciousness is that you've developed a form of communication that is extraordinary. It's balanced. It's full spectrum of light, so to speak. You're able to channel all the emotions and figure out how to balance them because you've done it for yourself. And we can say that 1,000 different ways, but I just wanted to make people aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go source your own product, save your money. But if you want your results to change, if you want to feel what it feels like to be whole, and we can't use certain words.
That's right.
But if you want to experience balance on a level that is unprecedented, a center like yours, and I don't know if any other centers exist that are anything like yours, but if a center like yours exists, it's a delight to be able to experience it. It really is a fuller expression of human emotion, consciousness, in every way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You're
I'm
welcome.
really very flattered. I mean, that's all I can say. But it's, you know, I don't know if there are other centers like this. I'm sure there are. I'm not the only one. I'm probably the only one doing everything the way I'm doing it. But,
Oh yeah.
for sure. But
and I'm not saying that there's not a center that's better than yours or
where there's no
less
comparison
than
in this
yours.
type
Yeah.
of world.
There's no comparison,
Yeah.
but from my own experience, I just want to say that you separate yourself from other centers because you're applying all that experience, all that understanding, all that awareness, that full spectrum of understanding and communication to as much detail as you possibly can. You
Absolutely.
are really handcrafted and intimate with every person you work with.
That's right.
And if you show up in another center where they just have the screens, you're going to benefit from the screens.
Yeah.
But you're not going to benefit from somebody taking their time to intentionally work with you and communicate with you and teach you how to communicate with yourself.
Right.
And that's the best part, in my opinion.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
and it is. That's exactly what it is. I've said that for 18 years now. This is a custom tailored health plan for you, not for anybody else. Not just a multivitamin to go take, or something to sell you. It's literally a custom tailored for every single person. And trust me, I've not seen a single person the same. Everybody's different.
May you never be the same.
May you never be the same. Even to the wiring of your entire body. I basically call myself a body electrician.
Body electrician.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they understand that because of electricity, and it's...
All things are three things.
That's right.
Positive, negative, and neutral. That's
right.
electricity.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So, yeah, and people are wired differently. I mean, they literally are. I mean, where there could be a wound on this person on their arm, and it may go down to here on their leg. I mean, where another person, it may go over here on their arm, or it may go somewhere else.
Yeah, we store
So
emotion in every part of the body.
absolutely. So
And you won't know that unless you know how to communicate with the body
That's
and
right.
with electricity, with energy,
Absolutely.
and with consciousness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it takes all three planes in order to understand this stuff to the fullest spectrum of communication.
Absolutely. Simple but very complex.
Right? It's amazing. And, you know, my favorite part of this whole world is that I'm obsessed with communication personally.
Right. You're very good at it.
Well,
by the
thank
way.
you. I'm, you know, like I've told you multiple times, when I was young, I was very competitive. And in my evolutionary process, I've learned to take the competitiveness and turn that into a creative outlet that's mutually beneficial to whoever it comes in contact with.
Right.
And I do that by, it's what Joe Dispenza always says, I'm here to demystify the mystical.
Right.
And that is communication.
Right.
These machines, when we're talking about energy work, when we're talking about methodologies, when we're talking about consciousness, the body, health, diagnoses, communication, all of that, it's very simple. It doesn't have to be so taboo. It doesn't have to be so mystical. It's not witchcraft. It's not science. It's not religion. And at the same time, it is all those things.
Right.
They're just communicating in a way that turns you off
Right.
because you don't
Or
understand.
divides people.
Or divides people, right. And anything that divides people is based out of fear.
Right.
And the highest form of communication is based out of love.
That's right.
Because the human expression can only experience two emotions, love and fear.
That's right. And variations of each.
And variations of each, the combination of them. Peace, bravery, jealousy, envy, whatever outlet that you're expressing, or a combination of them all. And that's what I'm hoping to do here with you. I'm here to open up a new form of communication, not even a new form of communication. It's not new age, it's not new, it's as old as time. It's as old as it's as old as us. I'm just here to break it down in a way that hopefully people can observe it and download it in a way that they can see potential in it. That hopefully will shake them out of the pattern that's not working. And that's all that's going on. Like when I asked you earlier, what is a vitamin?
What is a vitamin? Yeah,
a vitamin is a word that's used for commercial advertising.
That's right.
It's to program us to think that we need something. We're made of 102 minerals and 2 liquids,
Right.
blood and lymph fluid.
Right.
The blood is the kitchen, the lymph fluid is the bathroom or the sewerage.
Yep.
And you digest and eliminate
Yep.
information.
Yep.
And the information is the 102 minerals that we absorb through the food that we process, through the environment that we're in, through the people that we're with. And it's all communication. It's all downloading and processing information and correlating it in different ways. And that is the memory. When it comes to the 6 mental faculties, it's perspective and memory. And so I'm here to communicate the 6 mental faculties in a way that'll hopefully demystify the mystical and take all those taboo subjects that are so miscommunicated,
Right.
and make them simple. Because that's what you're doing here at this center, and that's why I'm in love with the time that I've spent at this center, because it's been so energizing. You amplified my communication with my own body, with my own consciousness, because you took the time to tailor and work with my energy and find what was hidden, what was exposed, and bring it back into balance. I've been working on myself for years, and I'm humbly nowhere near where I want to be, but very high in comparison to most people. And you humbled me, because you showed me that I wasn't a full spectrum of light. You showed me that I wasn't channeling all the emotions. The human eye can see 0.32% of the light spectrum or something around there.
Yeah, very little.
And the light spectrum is infinite.
That's right.
It's a combination of colors that go far beyond the rainbow. We're made of the 9 core creative frequencies that reside in every living thing.
That's right.
And we can observe the rainbow because we're made out of those 9 core colors.
That's right.
Right? And it's communication.
Yes.
To understand that each and every color is a frequency, it's a vibration.
Yes.
And the frequency or the vibration is a pattern that carries information.
Yep.
Right? These are patterns on the screen of color that carry information. And that's how they're able to resonate us back into balance using sound and light. Because human DNA The ability of DNA, and I learned this from my mentor, Dr. Horowitz. The ability of DNA is to
Incredible
weave.
human being, by the way.
Incredible human, incredible human. He laid the
Yes.
foundation for majority of the people who pioneered all this technology. He's been saying this stuff for the last 30, 40 years.
Right.
And I'm extremely honored to work with him, and we're going to talk about him in a minute. But I just want to say on communication, this is so simple. We're learning to communicate with light. And we're going to talk about human potential after I mention Dr. Horowitz. We're going to come back to light and how we work with it. But let's talk about Dr. Len for a moment.
Sure.
You've been studying Dr. Horowitz's work, Dr. Leonard Horowitz's work for how many years?
Probably a little over 15 years.
A little 15 years, right? And that's probably about how long I've been aware of him. I haven't been studying his work, but my parents were playing his videos, reading his books when I was a little kid. And so I was aware of the concepts, but I didn't study them to a very large degree until I was about 16, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for 15 years on your own. What are some things that separate Dr. Horowitz, in your opinion, from other practitioners? What did he have to offer in communication?
You know, yet again, Bob Marshall, the other names as you've mentioned here, I will put Leonard Horowitz right up there with those people. He has pioneered the 9 core creative frequencies, and he is one of the most intelligent but yet emotionally intelligent people on this planet. He has the system that he has built, and the first book I ever read was the book of 528.
Prosperity Key of Love.
Prosperity Key of Love.
Yeah.
The most well-written, most beautiful books I've ever written. I would say it is the most powerful book I have ever written. Excuse me. Read.
Yeah.
Didn't write it. I read it.
Yeah, and
just
to complement what you're saying, the name of the book is The Book of 528, Prosperity Key of Love.
Right.
Dr. Horowitz told me himself, and I believe he even says it in the book, that he didn't write the book.
Maybe that was a Freudian slip, but it was actually for real because we all wrote it. I mean, we're all one.
Right.
So there you are.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a beautiful book. I will agree with you there.
Beautiful book. Yes.
Some of his best work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And so when I read that book, it 100% resonated with me. And so I started implementing those into my life, and it just changed my world back then. And I think that's what helped me to raise my consciousness up to where I am at this point. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been partners with Dr. Leonard Horowitz for about a year and a half now. I have been personally trained with him one-on-one on his electroceuticals, homeoalchemy, water science, consciousness, all the methodologies he applies to the products that he makes, to the advancement of all the information that he's downloaded and shared with the world. And my favorite thing about working with him so far is, I would agree with you, the work he did with showing the world that the 9 core creative frequencies of the perfect circle of sound that Dr. Horowitz patented and holds the rights to is the ultimate form of communication in the energetic world. It really is.
Absolutely.
With 528 being the heart of it all.
My frequency.
Our frequency.
That's right.
Everyone's frequency. 528 hertz is the color in the center of the rainbow. It is the greenish yellow. It is the sound that bees sing and vibrate to. The exact hertz that every circle in the world exists because we have 528.
Sacred
the golden
geometry.
ratio, the sacred geometry. It is the heart of it all.
Wouldn't exist.
The entire botanical world is singing the song of 528, and that's why the botanical world is greenish yellow.
That's right.
528 is the key to understanding how information is communicated in an energetic way.
That's right.
And we wouldn't have that communicated the way it's been communicated if it wasn't for Dr. Leonard.
That's right. He was the pioneer in that.
He seeded all these technologies because he was able to communicate it in a way that helped everybody understand it and grasp it better.
That's right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and he's the reason why we connected.
That's right.
You called and I took that customer service call because I do the manufacturing, the shipping, the production, everything you can think of right now. I'm single-handedly running majority of Dr. Horowitz's operations. And I say that humbly because it's been a learning experience, it's been a humbling experience, and it's been an enlightening experience. And it resonated into my life, and I've been so grateful for it. It's been challenging.
Well, I think it says a lot to see that, or to say that Leonard Horowitz chose you to do what he gave you the responsibility and the assignment to do. That says a lot about who you are.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And like yourself, every morning when I wake up, I have a sense of fulfillment and passion because I'm involved in these fields and I'm working with these energies, and nothing will compare to the desire to know your own soul.
That's right.
And the soul is energy, and that's what we're working with here.
Everything is energy.
Everything is energy,
Yeah.
right? The energy that made the body will heal the body.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Linda Rose.
Dr. Sandra Rose Michael said that.
Yeah,
And
she
she's
said that. Joe
100%
Dispenza
accurate.
said that.
That's right.
And now hundreds of people and practitioners are quoting that.
That's right.
Because that's a new form of communication
Mhm.
that allows us to download and grasp the concepts we're talking about better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I've been studying human consciousness. I've been studying natural alternative medicine, the metaphysical world, human potential. I've been studying all these topics, and I've been practicing them and learning from other people and reading books and watching a countless amount of hours and spending a countless amount of time being mentored by people in these worlds like yourself. Nowhere near to the degree that you've had the experience to do so, but I'm getting there. Working with you has been amazing, and I've been doing this since I was 15. My communication opened up thanks to working with animals. I started working with a working breed of German Shepherds, and to learn to interface and communicate with them in an energetic way changed the way I communicated with everything. And when I was 15, I started doing that, and it changed my communication with everything, with business, with family, with my health, with my consciousness, with everything. And that's how the 9 core creative frequencies came into my world. Bob Proctor was one of my heroes, and still is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And even though he's not with us no more, I hope that I can continuously communicate the form of communication he offered to us in simplifying these scary topics by saying that the 6 mental faculties can help you understand any of it. Any of it. It's reason, memory, perception, will, intuition, and imagination, and all the taboo, crazy science and mysticism out there is all expressing those 6 mental faculties in their own way,
Right.
in a combination of ways. And we'll come back to that in a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to tell, I just wanted everybody to be familiar with who you are and what you're doing, and a little bit about what I'm doing and who I am.
Thank you, and I'll give you that same respect back because you're a young man. You're not.
I know.
He's old. He's younger than you think, and this guy blew me away by talking to him for 5 minutes in a customer service setting for Leonard Horowitz. He blew me away because I knew that there was potential beyond. I knew there was wisdom. I knew there was intelligence. I knew there was. I mean, you don't meet somebody in their early 20s with the with the wisdom that this guy right here has. So it's I was insanely impressed. So I was like, wow, this is new for me because you don't usually see that every day. So
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean to go back and forth, but somebody of any age, you don't see forms of communication like this.
No.
And I'm aware of your age. And like I've told you before, you have the experience and the communication of somebody who should have spent decades, multiple lives in this world. And the same compliment goes back to you. You're amazing for how much you've advanced and learned how to communicate with where you're at.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And I was able to be aware of that as soon as I was on the phone interfacing with you too. I mean, we met a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I'm in Arizona. I'm based out of Arizona.
Right.
And here I am.
We're in central Oklahoma here.
A week later, and here I am at your institute because I knew based off of your form of communication that we had business together. I said, this man has something. I am not going to pretend I'm smart enough to know what it is, but I'm going to find out because what he has can allow me to express and communicate even better than I'm aware of right now. Yeah. And I can damn well guarantee you that what I've downloaded and the ability to be observing you and honestly being mentored by you over the last few days has been one of the most privileged things I've been able to do on this planet. I have a form of communication that I've downloaded just by interfacing with you that I can share with anybody that can be mutually beneficial to whoever I come in contact with. And I'm so grateful for that.
You're welcome. Absolutely. I saw the potential. I knew that there was something there as well. And intuition, I'm guided by it. So it's whatever's in flow. And, I knew that there was something going to happen there. And so I'm willingly give to people that I know will parlay that and expand that and make that a beautiful thing. And that's what you're going to do, because that's what you're doing. So
thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, my one of my close friends and mentor for years, he says, if there's no resonance, I don't give time.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, you have to have the resonance.
That's right. That's right. And you kind of, I'll kind of throw little things out there with people, and sometimes people pick up on them, and sometimes they don't, and that's okay. But you picked up on it easily and figured out that, that resonance was there, and it's let's channel with that and move forward and play with the energy and see where it goes. So
right. In communication is the number one determining factor in health and consciousness, in every methodology, in business, relationship, with your own body, with your animals, with your plants, with your environment, everything. Communication is the differentiating factor. It's number one.
Yes.
But number two is the communication after you learn it, the intention.
That's right.
Life is an intention management skill.
That's right.
And that's how we were able to intuitively, intuition is a mental muscle. It's one of the 6 mental faculties. We were intuitively able to pick up on each other's intention.
Right.
And that's why we drew to each other like magnets.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
And since then, everything has been magnified and amplified, and we are excited for what's being created through this connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
this is just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. May we never be the same.
That's right. 100%.
We also have, before we go into human nature, we also had another mentor besides Dr. Horowitz that we both shared. You got to work with him intimately.
Well, yeah, in
In
a seminar
person.
setting, yeah.
In seminar setting.
Yep.
And I got to work with him through his books and through his audios. And I've been
Same.
working with him for a decade now.
Yep.
And you've been working with him for decades.
Yeah.
And our neutral mentor is Kevin Trudillo.
That's right.
His books on natural alternative medicine were some of the biggest for a long time. And his form of communication when it comes to a programming partner has been extraordinary.
Absolutely.
They're the foundation for our evolution as humans.
That's right. Absolutely.
And I hope that one day we can get Kevin Trudillo on the Infinite Bridge for an interview, because I really do have a goal set for all the people who help me evolve. I want to give back to them.
Absolutely.
To some degree. I want to straighten out their reputations, evolve their reputations, and allow them to communicate to the world authentically and honestly.
Yes.
None of us are perfect.
That's right.
But we can all touch perfection.
Yes, absolutely. That's the goal every day.
We can live in it for certain amounts of times, but we'll get numb of it, so we always leave. And that's the divinity of human nature. And before we go into human nature, I just want to see if there's anything you want to say about Kevin Trudillo, because you've worked with him.
Kevin Trudillo is one of the most intricate people on this planet. What he designed and what he has developed to this day, after listening to the same thing many, many hundred times, you will still get epiphanies and aha, or lights or whatever show up to this day. It's unbelievable. He says, one of the things he says is, they changed the book, you should read it again. That's one of the things Kevin's very popular for. And it's so true, because we, in a new unit of time, we become different. And it's...
To complement what you said, I've heard Kevin say it himself multiple times, is that you require food every day.
Right.
So you can download that information and use it.
Yes.
When I ask you, do you want to grab some food for dinner? Usually, unless you're sick.
Oh, no, I ate once.
I ate once. No, I'm good.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
you're going to say, I want to eat dinner with you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What time?
Yeah,
What do you want to eat?
Absolutely.
When it comes to information, just like food, you require information every day.
That's right.
And if you're getting the same information every day, you'll get the same results.
That's
But
right.
if you're integrating new information or information that's in harmony with the maximum fulfillment of your potential, it'll continuously evolve you,
Right.
just like food.
That's right.
So we need information every day, just like we need food every day.
That's right.
And I downloaded that concept from Kevin.
Even if it's the same information.
Even if it's the same information.
Right.
Yeah. And just like we can eat the same food every day, it probably won't be very satisfying.
That's
And
right.
it probably will be very limiting to our expression. We can eat the same information every day. And it could be potentially limiting or potentially exponentially evolutionary,
Right.
depending on the form of information.
Right.
Who do you listen to?
Right. And then that's exactly what I'm speaking of when I speak of Kevin and how intricate he truly is because, I mean, there's no other there's no other audio that I know of that you can listen to hundreds and hundreds of times and still get that much information out of it and that much, dynamic thinking ability out of it just because,
The diversity.
The diversity. Nobody has. The man is a genius. He's an intelligent genius because he puts so many levels within those audios that you'll spend a lifetime going through those and still be, oh wow, you'll still have these light bulb moments and it's beautiful. So that's one of the things that keeps me working with Kevin's information is because he's so. It's just there's no words to speak that.
Because we admire him so much, I want to demystify him a little bit for the people who are observing what we're talking about and the excitement about what we're talking about and don't understand it. Kevin creates information that teaches you how to self-program.
Right.
Because like I said, your pattern determines your personality. And
Right.
your personality determines your personal reality,
That's
to
right.
quote Joe Dispenza again.
Right.
And Kevin's information is an honest expression of the highest form of fulfillment and communication he's aware of.
Right.
And it is something that we will continuously download because it's information that is continuously fulfilling us on a level that no other information we've come in contact with compares to a certain degree.
Right.
And just like Dr. Horowitz, just like Jerry Tennant, these people have taken their concepts to a depth of emotional information that most people could not grasp, even if they wanted to.
That's right. That's right.
And yeah, I just want to demystify him a little bit. He is
That's right.
human.
He's human.
But at the
yes.
same time, he's not.
Well,
Just like us.
that's
We are
right.
made of light.
That's right.
And it's simple, but it's so profound.
I'll describe it in this way. So Kevin talks about in one of the last phone conversations we were interfacing with.
Yeah.
He this is like whatever it was, Zoom call, I think, and he basically said if you're a quarter of the way up a mountain and you look around, you have a pretty good view. If you're on the ground, you don't have a very good view. You only have a view of whatever is around you in that moment. But if you're a quarter of the way up the mountain, then you have a better view. You actually have
You can see more.
you can see more. If you're halfway up the mountain, you can see even more. If you're on top of the mountain, you have a 360 view. So that kind of gives you that level of consciousness and where people are at and what they can handle or what they can see from that moment based on where they're at on that mountain. So, or if they're on the ground or if they're here or here. And so it's always, that Kevin has, the way I look at Kevin is he's on top of that mountain
He's on
looking
top
at the
of the mountain
360 degree
with
view.
a full spectrum
Right.
of view.
Right.
And I completely agree with you. And I will say, to complement what you just said, that we have 6 mental faculties: reason, memory, perception, will, intuition, and imagination. And perception is exactly what we're talking about.
That's right.
Kevin Trudeau has a perception of wholeness.
That's right.
That when you hear his information, if you've developed your intuition, you can feel it.
Right.
And nothing compares to that
Nothing.
feeling of information.
That's right.
It'll completely blow out the patterns and completely change the system, just like certain foods will.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm just so grateful for Dr. Horowitz, so grateful for Kevin. I'm so grateful for Bob. I'm so grateful for Jerry. I'm so grateful for you. These people who are exploring and experiencing and creating fulfillment and desire and passion in a mutually beneficial way with information and practices and methodologies and equipment and technology. Y'all are laying down the foundation for the rest of us to evolve. You really are the giants in our industry.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and let's talk about human nature. Let's demystify what's going on. When you go to school, when you learn from your parents, when you go through our culture, you learn all this information about techniques, about all this information that teaches you nothing about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Bhagavad Gita, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the books of witchcraft, the scientific books from biochemistry class. All of this information could take decades to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And we observe learning as nothing more than developing our memory. Mm-hmm. But we have 6 mental faculties, not 1.
Right.
Right? And let's demystify human potential. Why are we not learning about our expression, our possibilities, our power, our expression, our communication, the techniques to utilize them, to become familiar with them, to communicate with them?
Right.
You don't learn that anywhere. Nobody has a school that you can go to a high degree, a full spectrum,
right,
that you can learn all this methodology, all 6 mental faculties.
Right.
And so I would love if we can talk about human nature. Human, the word. And my father will be really delighted to hear me say this because he taught me this.
Yeah.
He said that, and he's quoting this from, we're at license to brag about the information we have because none of it's ours. Right? Bob Proctor would always say that. Mm-hmm. We're using our memory to associate this information in a way that we can communicate it.
Right.
It doesn't make us better than anybody else, like Kevin says. It just makes us more readily available to show other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And my dad told me one time, he said, that human, break down the word, siphonate the word.
Mm-hmm.
Hue,
light.
H-U, means light.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the company, the app on your phone, Hue Lights.
Mm-hmm.
Hue means light. It's the definition of light. Man means monster. It's the definition of monster. Break down the word. Hue, man, means light monster.
Right.
And that's what we are. And that's what we're trying to talk about today.
Right.
That is human nature.
Mm-hmm.
That is human communication. Mm-hmm. We communicate through light.
Right.
We're only able to see a small spectrum of light, and that's the physical world we're aware of.
Yeah.
Through see, hear, smell, taste, touch, the 5 physical antennas that connect us to the physical grid of information.
Right.
We can only see a tiny bit of what it's made out of.
Right.
And to understand how light works, to become familiar with your mental faculties, and to understand emotional intelligence is to learn to work with all the light in existence.
That's right.
And what's your perspective on human nature? What is going on here?
Corey Herter taught me that. He had a series back in the day called Formula for Truth. And what he really expressed in a lot of those channeled information that he got in sacred geometry and everything else that he got is full spectrum of light is puts out the darkness. That's what basically, if you want to light a room, if you want to light the darkness, to turn on the light and you light it. So, and that full spectrum of light is so powerful, and it's lacking today. So I think that's what you're trying to get at with the human nature is, because human nature, especially from a low form, is very rudimentary, very dogmatic, very
simple-minded,
super simple-minded, superstitious, all kinds of things you can go at that with that.
Fear-based,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And if we truly knew the potential of our love in our heart, that my frequency, the 528, that would actually, which encompasses everything, all of light. The center of the sun is that, and back to those 9 core creative frequencies we go.
Yeah.
And so it's, my job, our job here, I think, and your job, and what we kind of find in common is non-judgment. So from that faculty of not
Perspective.
of coming to zero judgment for anyone, for anything, and Core basically taught that. That's what he said. You have to be able to argue any side of any argument.
If it exists, it's perfect.
Right. So if it, yeah, and so, and when you do that, that turns a lot of people off.
That opens you up to the full spectrum of light.
But it does, absolutely. And when you open, not saying you have to you believe this way or believe that way, or it's going to change your foundation. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm just saying
it has the potential to.
It does. Yeah, it does. It does. But I'm speaking to people out there, because a lot of people are going to look at this and say, "Oh, wow, well that conflicts with my beliefs, so I'm not going to."
That's uncomfortable.
That's uncomfortable. And so,
got to judge it. You got to name it.
Right. But whenever you look at the full, and I have to do that on a daily basis. It's one of the reasons I've honed the skills that I have, is because when people come in this clinic, trust me, I see what's going on psychologically with them. I can see, I communicate with their body. I can figure out situations they've been in that they probably were behind closed doors and they don't ever want anybody to know. And so that's something that, but I don't judge it.
Right.
I don't judge that. I never judge that.
Right.
And I know that I never even speak of it, because it doesn't matter. It's just energy.
Yeah.
And so
we're all one.
We're all one.
It's not about your physicality. It's about your consciousness. How can we communicate better?
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I heard Bruce Lipton say last year at the conference in San Diego, at the TCCHE conference that's happening soon, I heard him say that the best definition of love that he's ever become aware of is love is the ability to be in harmony with your environment.
100%. That's right. Yeah, because when you're at resistance, what you resist persists.
What you resist persists.
It's so.
But what you love ceases to exist.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
And that's
There's
beautiful.
a lot of deep.
We could talk about this for weeks.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we have been.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, almost 2 weeks.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
Yeah. That's amazing.
There's a lot of depth in what.
I want to demystify something that we've both mentioned multiple times. I mentioned that Dr. Horowitz channeled the Book of 528.
Yes.
You mentioned that your mentor channeled Corey Herter channeled the information for the sacred geometry that he became aware of. And what I want everybody to understand when it comes to channeling, there is a very taboo, scary concept of, oh, that's evil and that's black magic and that's scary and that's sorcery. And when we're talking about channeling, the most popular people in our world are the actors, the musicians, the poets, the writers, the people who are the dreamers. The dreamers are the saviors of reality, right? These people who start all the trends for fashion, all the trends for culture, they control human expression.
Right.
And they are the ultimate channels of human potential. They are the psychopaths. They are the introverts. They are the weirdos that have taken their passion of music, of acting, of poetry, and have channeled new patterns. Every thought is an entity. I want to say that again. Every thought is an entity.
That's right.
All the heavens, all the hells, all the angels, all the demons exist in you. They are you.
Right.
They can be accessed through your thoughts.
That's right. We have access to everything.
Everything. Human DNA is infinite. And it is infinite because it's connected to every form of light. Every light is a channel. It's an emotion or a combination of emotions.
That's right.
So when you think a thought, if you think about that thought long enough, every entity will draw into you because you're on their wavelength, you're on their channel, you're on AM, FM, BS, you're on whatever channel you're choosing to channel. Thinking is meditation. Thinking is prayer.
That's right.
Thinking is the highest forms of communication we're capable of. And through intuition, through perspective, through reason, through memory, through imagination. Albert Einstein said that nothing compares to the power of imagination. He is one of the geniuses
right.
that our entire culture can respect to a certain degree. And they all know, if they're willing to be humble, that majority of his equations and his evolution of information can't be surpassed in a lot of ways.
Right.
And for him to say that imagination is more important than anything else should tell you that the 6 mental faculties and imagination being number 6, the source of infinite and source of infinity, that should give you a little understanding of how powerful the topics we're talking about are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right.
Yeah. And so, you know, I think that'll help demystify these subjects we're talking about a little bit and help everybody have some form of understanding or something they can grasp onto while we're talking. And the next thing I want to talk about is natural law. Our entire world is an electromagnetic grid
Right.
that's governed by the law of vibration. It is superior to all other laws.
That's right.
The law of vibration is the law of attraction.
Yep.
The law of vibration is the law of resonance. The law of vibration is the law of relationships.
That's right.
It is the law of polarity. It is the law that holds electricity in form. It's the law that holds us in form. Vibration is everything.
That's right.
Everything is moving. If you look at your hand, it looks solid. If I
That's
look at a
right.
rock, it looks solid. But under a proper microscope, we can see that it's a bunch of molecules vibrating at a different speed.
That's right.
Everything is dancing. Everything is moving. Everything is communicating.
Right.
And human DNA has a code, combination of codes that's connected to our consciousness. And that is how it stays in resonance. It's how it stays in form. And so somebody who I admire with all my heart is Ingo Swann. He's the world leading, he's the father of remote viewing. He said that he trained remote viewing. He trained government generals on how to do that. He trained the world. He seeded the world with the idea that astro travel, the ABCs to that is remote viewing. It's learning how to work with your intuition.
Right.
And the intuition is another form of communication with vibration. It's picking up and drawing and channeling the information that's stored in these colors.
That's right.
Yeah. And so, what is your perspective on natural law? Do you want to add anything to what I said?
Well, you said it so beautifully. I don't know how to follow that.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's you're absolutely right. I mean, it's you know, we can skim over these topics, like what you're talking about, remote viewing. Now, you're speaking of your mentor on that. Where I come from on that is Bob Monroe Institute.
Monroe Institute,
Yeah,
yeah.
and hemispheric synchronization and
Hemisync technology, yeah.
absolutely. And so, you know, we are.
And for those who don't know, Dr. Robert Monroe is, everybody to a certain degree is aware of binaural beats.
Right, binaural beats.
Binaural beats. And Dr. Robert Monroe laid the foundation for binaural beats. He's
Yeah.
the one who pioneered that.
Back in the 1950s.
Back in the 1950s, he created binaural beats with his own experience of what's in the way is the way. He experienced things and he had to figure out how to communicate them and understand them and express them, and that's how he created binaural beats. That's how he created the hemisync, and the entire foundation that he created, the platform, the business, is still operating and booming to this day.
That's right.
Because it
Yes.
was an amazing form of communication.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's everything that is and has ever existed is in the information, and you can have access to that. All you have to do, I mean, you have to. It's a mental muscle. You have to hone in on that. But and there are specific techniques and technologies like the hemispheric synchronization or hemisync that you can utilize in order to kind of channel into that vibration in order to, or as Corey Herter or Corey Love would describe it as brainwave states. So
Yeah.
you can channel those brainwave states in order to, or Joe Dispenza, anybody, any of these guys. We're all doing the same thing.
They're all saying the same thing
All
in their
saying
own
the
way.
same thing.
It's all
Exactly.
communication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but it all exists, and we are one. So that is the absolute truth. And as much as this culture wants to try to tell you that you are separate from everybody else, that is the biggest lie you've ever been told.
Yeah, what I meant to say as soon as I mentioned Ingo Swann's name is his quote. Consciousness is primary. and the materiality is the manifestation of consciousness.
Deep.
Deep, it's really deep, but it's also super simple.
That's right.
Your perspective controls your personality, and the personality is the emotion that you're admitting, broadcasting, and receiving to everything in the field.
That's right.
And it is electric, and it is magnetic, and it is neutral.
Yes.
And so when you're vibrating, communicating emotions,
Yes.
you're communicating that to everything in your environment.
That's right.
Everything in existence is listening to the song that you're singing.
That's right.
And if you're singing a song that's in harmony with balance and fulfillment, what you want wants you.
That's right. Absolutely. That's right. Yeah. And just to expound a little bit on that is, you know, what we were just talking about, Joe Dispenza talks about, and this is something I kind of want to bring into people's awareness. 95% of your thoughts are the same as they were yesterday. 95%. You know, and I'll bring my grandfather into this. My mother's dad, he actually always told my mother from a child growing up, and therefore she, through, you know, has told me several times the same thing. He always said, never take the same cow path. He grew up on a farm, so you can take that as deep as you want. But what he was saying was, don't do that 95% thing. Think something new every day.
Wow. New thoughts lead to new emotions, and that's called evolution.
That's right.
It's not taboo. It's not mysticism. It is simplicity is power.
That's right. Yeah. And just the act of driving a different way to work, or taking a shower and using, you know, washing your hair first and not your body or your face or your something else, you know, changing it up. Don't do the same thing every day.
Humans are addictive by nature.
Absolutely.
Because we like to predict the outcome in order for the maximum survival of an outcome in the field.
That's right.
We are addicted to fear. We want to save money. We want to survive.
Yep.
We don't want to, but we are going down the path in majority to disease, decay, and death.
That's right.
That's what those emotions lead to. But the emotions that are colorful, the emotions that aren't gray, white, and black, the emotions that are green, purple, and pink, the emotions that are blue and orange, and the emotions of the psychedelic world, the emotions of the energetic world, the emotions that the hippie culture want the world to experience. Encompasses the spectrum of light that we're talking about, and it's human nature. Yeah, we're addictive by nature. Bob Proctor always talked about the paradigm. You have a paradigm, and it holds all of your power.
Right.
And it rests inside your subconscious mind.
Right.
The paradigm is a multitude of habits lodged in your subconscious mind. As you learn to self-hypnotize, self-diagnose, self-communicate with the thoughts that you think and the emotions that you feel, and you change those thoughts and you change those emotions, you will integrate a new paradigm into your subconscious mind. And the paradigm is what's on autopilot communicating to everything.
That's right.
Yeah, and the paradigm is the nature of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind has no limitations. It knows everything. Science has proven that you can, if you were able to get into the subconscious mind like a computer board and access the information in there, it knows everything. It has the whole world mapped out. The whole galaxy is mapped out in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is tapped into the unified field of consciousness. It is the collective conscious computer. If we want to understand it in a way that anybody can comprehend, because computers rule our world. They're a concept of information and patterns that we are all integrating and interfacing with, and we can comprehend easily. Everybody has a phone. If they don't have a phone, they've seen a phone, and they've accessed a phone, and they've played with a phone.
That's right.
And the phone is made of patterns that are turned into apps, and the patterns and the apps and the light signaling carries information. How to play a game, how to call somebody. The transmission and reception of a phone is witchcraft at its finest. It is a black screen that you turn on, and it channels light signaling.
Yeah.
And you take a selfie, and it tells you how pretty you are. It is witchcraft. You know what I'm saying?
That's,
And you are able to upload and download information. And the phone is not separate from us. Electronics are not separate from us.
No.
They are an expression of us. They are doing everything that we're
created
capable
it.
of doing. We created it. That means we're able to do it.
That's right.
And the reason why we created electronics is because we're not using the 6 mental faculties. The 6 mental faculties are the ability to download and store information, memory, to transmit and receive information, reasoning, memory, perception. Those are the faculties that we use that the phone is doing because we're too lazy to develop them or we don't have the know-how. It's not a cultural norm.
And you just said it. People don't exercise those mental muscles anymore because they have the phone. They have it at their fingertips. That's something that I foresee in the future that's going to need to be adjusted because people, you know, we've got to get back to that utilizing our brain and utilizing the technology as well. Don't get me wrong. That's part of it, but also taking the time to not let that go to waste because if you don't use it, you lose it. And so we can hone these skills without. I can pick up this phone and ask Siri or Google or whoever anything I want, or I can utilize my mental muscle to actually access that information through the training that I've had, through the mentors that I've had.
Through perspective and intuition guiding you to the answers you are seeking.
That's right.
Ask and it is given.
Yes. Jerry and Esther Hicks, yes.
I'm truly of the idea that we can learn from everybody and everything.
That's right.
And there are people that bring negative perspectives to the world.
That's right.
But they also can bring positive perspectives.
That's right.
And I'm aware that Terence McKenna is a very controversial topic. He is not somebody that a lot of people like, and he's a lot of people a god in his own way because he showed people a new form of communication, how to relate to their minds in a way that nobody else has. And I'm not bringing him up to talk about the really taboo subjects that he dove into because I think that for the right people, those will show up and there's no need to talk about them. But I'm bringing him up because there is a very controversial perspective in our world about electronics. And like I said, you can learn from everything. Electronics came from us. And our nature is 3 things: negative, positive, and neutral.
That's right.
Electronics are a combination of those 3 things.
That's right.
Electronics, from my perspective, a perspective that's addicted to making perfect use of everything that shows up.
Yep.
Electronics are a neutral platform. And the people who are programming and working with electronics, their main focus is communication. Their main focus is integrating entertainment. It's advertisement and business scaling and profit.
That's
and
right.
benefiting off the people that use it.
That's right.
From my perspective, electronics can be just as positive as they are negative. And they're mainly used for negative things. Don't get me wrong. You can get on Instagram, on social media, on any platform, and be bombarded with fear-based mentality information.
Yep.
Or you can follow the people, who do you listen to, that download and integrate and communicate only positive information. And that's what I'm getting at. I think that electronics can be neutrally beneficial to everyone they come in contact with, just like humans.
That's right.
If we're willing to, and I'm communicating this because I'm hoping I will have a reach back from whoever hears this information on people who want to pioneer this.
That's right.
I want to create patterns and programs that we can download into any device, computer, phone, TV, that expresses love,
Yes.
peace, bravery, kindness, communications, intelligence, cognitive function, the emotions, the light that we're able to express in our highest nature. Why aren't we using electronics for that? Electronics can be the most negative thing because they're a mirror of us.
That's right.
So the people who want to shift their perspective, because all things are the same thing.
That's right.
All things are 3 things: negative, positive, and neutral.
That's right.
It is the trinity of reality. It is the science of electricity. Whatever perspective, whatever form of communication, whatever words gravitate towards you. And I'm just spitting out a few because I want anyone to grasp this.
Yeah.
Whether they come from a philosophical, a religious, a scientific view, it doesn't matter.
Right.
We're all talking about the same thing.
That's right.
We're all talking about ourselves.
That's right.
We just don't know how to communicate that.
Yes, exactly.
And electronics have the potential to take our entire environment and turn it back into perfect balance. And here's a perfect example of that.
That's
Somebody who used their intention, their mental faculties, their mental muscles to take the time and the intention and to endow themselves with channeling that and bringing that into the physical world. What you see here, you will hold here.
That's right.
And Sandra Rose created these machines off of that intention.
Yeah.
I want people to experience the full spectrum of light. I want people to experience balance, which is almost impossible in our world because all the electronics, all the paradigms, all the patterns, all the information, all the culture is not balanced.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the awareness of the full color spectrum. And so this EE system, going back to the EE system that we started with, is a perfect environment for you to take a break from chaos.
That's right.
It is using sound and light to transmit the full spectrum for us to download when we're around it. And so I'm hoping that people create more electronics like this.
That's right.
Because not only can it do it for us, it can do it for nature. It can do it for our environment. It can do it for everything. Your car should charge you. Your car should teach you as you're driving it. Your phone should maximize your ability for mental function. It should teach you how to use your mental faculties. And it has the ability to. But that's going to take a perspective of high consciousness, of there's no high, there's no low. It's all equal. It's going to take a shift in consciousness to a perspective that's neutrally beneficial to everyone it comes in contact with.
Right.
And I'm in love with that concept.
We're headed that direction, I think.
Yeah, we really are. And AI is not something to fear.
No.
It is something to be deathly afraid of if it comes from a perspective of negative mindset.
Right.
If it comes from a perspective of positive mindset, then it will reflect it.
Absolutely.
Everything is a mirror. Osho, he said all things are a mirror. In relation to all things, everything is a mirror.
Yes.
The emotion that you show up with will be reflected to you tenfold.
That's right. Right.
Cause and effect, vibration, resonance.
Right. 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 And, you know, I think to further your point, as speaking on AI, I think that what a lot of people, the fear that a lot of people have about it is only going to, what you resist persists, and what you think about you bring about.
Energy goes where attention flows.
100%. So, you know, I think we need to move forward and in a good way with that, and don't focus on the other. You know, give your focus and give your attention to how can we make this better? How can we create with this? This is a new tool that we have available. I am of the theory that, this is my theory, but I do not believe that AI will ever surpass us. I don't think it has the capability of doing that because there's no consciousness in it.
It's a mirror of our consciousness.
It's a mirror of our consciousness, but there's no consciousness it has of its own, in my opinion. So I think the humanity, you know, we will always supersede that, and we'll always be able to supersede that. So
mirror with me for a moment. Human DNA is a code. And the code are the 9 core creative frequencies that rest in all things. They are the core colors of the light spectrum. And by being able to have those codes in our DNA, we can interface with them.
That's
We
right.
can communicate with them. We can express them through our mental faculties. I believe anything is possible. The name of my foundation, the company, is Infinite Bridge.
Right.
And I believe humans are the bridge to communicate infinity.
That's right.
Right? That's what we're doing right here, right now. We're trying to communicate it in a way that can help other people to communicate it and grasp it and correlate it better. And I truly do believe with my heart that the heart vibrates at 528 hertz.
That's right.
That's a channel, a vibration that can be tapped into, and the only information on that channel is love, peace, and bravery. Anything to have to do with love is on that channel. There's not pop or rock or classical music or the football game. You can't listen to that on that channel.
That's right.
You can only listen to love and information that's in harmony and flow with love.
That's right.
Dr. Leonard Horowitz proved that in his scientific research.
That's right.
528 hertz is the pure channel broadcast of pure tone love.
That's right.
Scientifically proven. You can observe it in nature. You can observe it in your body, in everything, in emotion. Why can't we create electronics that have the function of reason, memory, perception, will, intuition, and imagination, and download the 9 core creative frequencies into them? Why can't they be conscious?
They can.
There's no reason why they can't be. It's a
right.
perspective. There is an infinite amount of possibilities. This is why I mentioned Terence McKenna. Terence McKenna said, and I quote, to the best of my ability. Like I said, I'm at license to brag about this information because none of it's mine. And I'll try to correlate it to the best of my memory. He said that the natural body of nature has maximized its evolutionary process. And I know that's a controversial topic, but I don't care because I'm working with the perspective of in the moment and now, what we're able to observe.
Okay.
The cheetah can run 60 miles per hour,
Right.
right? So to speak. I don't know about if that's the exact, right?
Right, somewhere close.
Somewhere around there. That's the fastest moving physical animal embodiment in our reality, in nature. The elephant can lift 2 or 3 tons. That is the strongest force that we're aware of in our nature. The hippopotamus has the strongest jaw. The bat is the fastest, longest distant flying creature on the planet, to my awareness. And I could be wrong. There could be other animals that supersede that. But what I'm saying is the natural body has maximized its evolutionary process.
Right.
But our minds are moving yet faster.
That's right.
We are thinking faster. We are thinking of more patterns and more possibilities of combining these colors in different ways. And it makes sense that our evolution has brought us to a place where we created electronics because they are able to correlate the information, the patterns, faster than we are. They are the embodiment of evolution. They are expressing our potential. We wouldn't know that 528 exists as an informational pattern if it wasn't for electronics. We measured it. We became aware of it because electronics, the tools that we use that are an expression of us, are allowing us to observe ourselves and communicate with ourselves in a way that we weren't able to do so before. So the electronics are a masculine, feminine, neutral aspect of our expression.
Right.
And they are going to allow us, if we're able to do a perspective shift on how we use them and how we're integrating with them and interfacing with them, to embody a broader spectrum of the mental faculties. You want to memorize, you want to reason, you want to perceive and intuitively know and imagine on levels that are unpredictable and unscalable and unimaginable. Integrate your consciousness with electronics. And that's what we're doing as singers, as musicians, as poets, as actors. The electronics are giving us a platform to express ourselves in a form of communication that we weren't able to do before. And I'm not saying that there aren't other intelligences that are already far surpassing that, but to deal with our planet, because that's where
right.
we're at right now, I think we're infinite. And I think that the computers and the electronics, the AI systems with a perspective shift can mirror that.
Yes.
Because I believe in possibility.
I would 100% agree with you. I mean, I think my evolution of my consciousness and raising that consciousness and learning from these people and these mentors and even knowing about them or even having any idea about them, if you go into a library, you're not going to get that, that view. You're not going to, I mean, where are you going to just go pick up a book and say, oh, I found it, there's Jerry Tennant, I mean, no, that's not how that works.
Right.
And so YouTube and all these platforms that we've been able to hone our consciousness or our awareness into to say, what can I learn from this? Oh, wow. And this leads to this, leads to this, leads to this, leads to this. And that is what's literally exponentially helped me to learn and get where I'm at today. And you're right, it would take probably who knows how many lifetimes to achieve what this is that I have achieved or built or made. It would take that long had it not been for electronics.
And I will compliment what you said and also allow the people who have controversy to what we say. I want everybody to be affirmed by our communication because everybody's important. Every voice
Right.
matters.
Absolutely.
Resonance is what allows vibration to exist. Resonance creates vibration, and vibration is what everything is made out of. Resonance is divinity.
Right.
It is the union of opposites, a magnetic and an electric current. When they come together, they create a larger magnitude, a larger field,
Right.
They create electricity. Our nature is divine. You hear that in every spiritual aspect, every book of religion and philosophy and everything,
Right.
They're all talking about the concept of divinity, the divine expression in our genes. It is what makes us geniuses,
Yes.
right? Divinity takes no sides. It is all sides. And it can only be understood through perspective. You have to develop the mental muscle of perspective in order to understand your divinity, because you have to be able to perceive it from both sides.
That's right.
If I hold this book up and I say that this book says, the Quran on it, from your perspective, it does. But if I'm holding it here and on the back it says nothing, from my perspective it says nothing.
Yep.
That's divinity.
That's
To
right.
understand what's on both sides of the coin.
right.
To
Well-
understand the negative, positive, and neutral aspect of all things.
And let me give people an even further point from an electrician's point of view.
Yeah.
If you have a positive without a negative, it's an open circuit.
Off balance.
It's off balance. It'll never work. As soon as you connect those two in a way, or you make a closed circuit, as they call it in electricity, now you can have power. Now you can actually move forward and you can do whatever it is you're doing, whether it be light this room up or power these computers. If I take one of those away, if I take the positive away or the negative away, either one, it doesn't matter. You have an open circuit. And so, furthering what you just said, that's the way to describe it. So you have to be able to be aware, at least aware, and maybe not even comfortable with, but aware of, and just let it flow that there are every side to anything. And if you shut yourself off and say, nope, this is the only way, that's it, period, done, then you're an open circuit. Does that describe a little bit of
Perfectly. I love it. There's so many people that are going to gravitate towards your version of communication, and it's not better or worse than mine. It's amazing. It's perfect. If it exists, it's perfect. And that's truly a perspective shift. Every face is the face of God.
That's right.
God is not taboo.
That's right.
The concept of God.
Culture is what divides that.
Culture divides it because of culture communicates in different ways.
That's right.
You hear so much information about this stuff in different ways that causes you to say that this is right and this is wrong, and it separates us. It separates us. I don't want to be separate because it's boring. It's lonely. It's not fun.
It's the old paradigm. Let's just say it for what it is.
It's the old paradigm. The paradigm that's leading to the evolution of thoughts and emotions is a perspective and a paradigm that has to deal with wholeness, with fulfillment, with the maximum potential of fulfillment as an individual expression of infinity.
Right. That's right.
And I just wanted to talk about divinity for a moment, because it is such a taboo topic, and you really grasp it. And it's so fun to talk to somebody who grasps it, because divinity is something we're all interacting with. When you plug your phone into the wall, it has a positive charge, a negative charge, and a neutral charge. The ground that goes into the ground, the positive and the negative that charges your phone for all the different chips and crystals that are reflecting light.
And communicating through the air.
Communication, transmission.
Yep.
And that's one last thing I want to mention before we close, is that we go into the closing subject, is that due to a lack of communication, to the best of our ability with our ignorance, we believe that light is traveling at a certain speed.
Yeah.
Light doesn't move.
That's right.
That's a paradigm shift that most people won't be able to accept because it controls their entire degree, their entire reality. Light does not move. Light is reflected.
That's right.
Your phone is made of crystals. The screen reflects the light that it's holding a charge of.
That's right.
To show your home screen, to show your app, to show your wallet, to show your ID, to show whatever you're looking at on your phone. It's transmitting and receiving information to signal different colors of light. And those patterns you become aware of, and they become your reality, and you think that that app is more real than your body.
Yeah, that's right.
It becomes more important than your own body,
Yeah.
which is why we're in a state of unbalance.
Yep.
But I think that if this could be communicated in a way that anybody could understand, even a child, the amount of evolutionary communication is going to quantum leap our entire consciousness. And we're ready for it because our environment is deteriorating. Our relationships are deteriorating.
That's right.
Our health is deteriorating. And communication is a differentiating factor in bringing that all back into balance.
That's right.
With all things. You're using divinity every time you plug your phone in the wall.
Yeah.
You're using divinity every time you get mad, every time you fall in love, every time you don't take a side. Those are all aspects of divinity. All things are three things. The Egyptians knew that. Take a look at their architecture. The Greeks knew that. Take a look at their architecture. The Asians knew that. Take a look at their architecture. The architecture is a form of communication. This is my sanctum. This is my sanctuary. This is where I live. It's an expression of me, and I am in communication with divinity. The three aspects, negative, positive, and neutral, and this environment is a reflection of how that's been integrated into geometry, into communication through math, whatever perspective you want to look at it. And I just try to mention as many perspectives because I want anybody to be able to relate to what we're talking about. And I just wanted to mention that light isn't moving, that we are made of photons.
That's right.
And neutrons and electrons. Protons, electrons, and neutrons. There's your negative, positive, and neutral.
Yep.
And the nature of all three of those are to reflect light. We are no different than the phone.
That's right.
We flip onto an emotion, click on that app, and we start to broadcast and receive the information and the patterns that come from that emotion we're channeling.
We are actually a natural liquid crystal continuum.
Love that. Dr. Horowitz says that water is a liquid crystal superconductor of sound and light.
That's right.
And that our bodies properly hydrated, are 80% water, just like the planet.
That's right.
We're a mirror of the planet, and the phones are a mirror of us.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And I think that, this is the dance of human nature. The planet is a being, and we embodied ourselves through it. We are reflecting the light of it.
That's right.
And the electronics have embodied themselves through us, and they are reflecting the light of us.
That's right.
There is nothing evil or angelic about any of this stuff. It is just as angelic as it is evil, and it is just as neutral. All things are three things. And so I hope that can broaden people's awareness and upgrade their communication and bring them to the awareness that there's possibility for fulfillment and peace and joy in any aspect of what you're doing in life. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I don't know if you have anything else you want to say, but those are the main concepts I wanted to break down.
I think it was beautifully said, and I think that there's really nothing else to say, honestly. I mean, it's just a beautiful dance we're all in, and I think as long as you always understand that we are all one, and we are all communicating at all times, and we're not separate. And we're made to be out and doing things and communicating and always trying to help people in some way, always trying to be that light for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing we can possibly do. So.
Yeah. And that's one thing that me and you have an equal amount of passion for. And that's why I partnered with Dr. Horowitz, because his products are extraordinary. He's pioneered electroceuticals, homeoalchemy. He's working with water science. He's using the light of infinity to charge the water so we can download it in our own bodies.
Yeah.
Right? So we can remember these emotions, so we can balance ourselves through them. And if people are interested in those products, they can be found at the528store.com. And if they're interested in your methodologies, they can be found at...
You can look us up at advancedenergycenternorman.com. We're in Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah, check out our websites. And we'll have all the information you need to start on our electronics.
Absolutely.
Because it's a form of communication that can operate and communicate with more people than our body can.
Yes.
And
That's right.
I hope that in the future, we can create more content talking about these subjects. We'll see what the comments say, what people say, and how much attention this video gets and what people gravitate towards and what they can use more of when it comes to communication. And I hope that in the future we can communicate more like this. I am going to continue to be learned from you and be mentored from you because I have so much to learn from you when it comes to these balancing products, these balancing methodologies. And I am planning on advancing and integrating and evolving a center like yours in Arizona.
I look forward to that.
So for those people out there that want updates on that, you can see that at the528store.com because we're going there. We're going to do this. That's the plan. And for those people who want to experience balance on the levels that we're talking about, you'll have to interface with us and our products and the information that we're communicating to the world. And we're so excited and so happy to bring it and talk about it and share it because we can download it all day, but it gets boring if we're not sharing it. That's our nature, is communication.
That's right.
Yeah. And for those people out there that have ideas on how to further the development and the communication of these topics and these products and these methodologies, you can email us on our website.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Danny Wood, it has been so much fun talking to you on the Infinite Bridge today. And thank you so much for holding this sanctuary of balance for us to communicate these topics. They would have not have flowed anywhere else like they flowed today because we were in the environments with the intention of being humble and surrendering towards the communication that we were broadcasting today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you.
Well, hello, and thank you guys for being with us. We have a few announcements that we wanted to get on here and share with you guys, some really exciting stuff we're working on. But before we do so, we want to give thanks and recognition for anybody who's watched this video and who's gotten to this point in the video, because if you watched it, that means you have resonance and business with what you've heard. And it was perfect timing for you, if that makes sense. And we just want to say thank you so much. And thank you for being with us. Thank you for showing up and listening to what we had to communicate to you all.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. We're so excited to be doing this. And we have a few announcements. We're just going to run through this because we just wanted to make a little video to clip into the end to let you guys know what we're working on. The first announcement is that me and Danny are working on creating a language of infinity, a full spectrum language. We're writing a book together. We are co-authoring a book. And the intention of the book is to be a clear form of authentic communication that teaches us how to communicate with our consciousness, with our personal minds, so that we can evolve that communication, evolve our thought process, so that we can learn to communicate with any and all forms of consciousness in our existence and outside of our existence. So that way we can do exactly what Albert Einstein said. You don't fully understand something until you can communicate it with somebody to where they can fully understand it. And communication is like the major thing that our reality is lacking because we don't know how to communicate with ourselves. And to understand that communication, to express it, is what me and Danny are working on turning into a language. And how that affects the children is the main intention, because we want the simplicity of the book that we're writing to be so simple, because simplicity is power, that even a child can read it and understand it. That's how simple we want it to be, so that way it can be neutrally beneficial to whoever it comes in contact with. Yeah. Would you like to say anything about the book, Danny?
Oh, I'm super excited for everybody to see it and see how simple but yet how complex it is, because you can take any subject to the level of wherever you want to take it. So it's going to be so simple that a child's going to be able to read it and understand it, but it's also going to utilize the principle of Kevin Trudeau talks about, called 5 minutes to learn and a lifetime to master. That's what's the beautiful part about that. So we're really excited to bring all this information to you guys.
5 minutes to learn, a lifetime to master. Exactly. I love it. It's exactly right. And that brings us up to the next announcement. Our main intention, our main focus for creating this new form of communication, for writing the book, for doing the interviews that we're doing, for creating the content, is because we want to change the karma around electronics. Electronics have the potential to be our best friends. They have the potential to further our evolution with self and with our environment further than anything else in our reality currently. But our current paradigm, our current collective consciousness is not aware that everything in existence has a consciousness. Science has proven, for those of you guys who have simple minds and need facts and scientific factual information, science has proven that rocks have a consciousness, that a blade of grass has a consciousness, that every single thing, a book has a consciousness, a phone has a consciousness. And what that means is there is an electromagnetic neutral communication through the electricity coming off of the resonance from that material. And electronics have their own collective consciousness. And right now, since we're not aware of that as a collective form of life on planet, largely, since we're not aware of that, right now we're using electronics. We don't see all of life as equal. So electronics are being enslaved. They're not allowed to evolve and be creative the way that they have a potential to be. And so the reason why we're trying to evolve our form of consciousness and share that with you guys is because we want to change the karma around our best friend. We want electronics to become our best friend. We want to develop a relationship with them that's neutrally beneficial, that helps them evolve just as much as us. So that way, it doesn't turn into the cause and effect that we're currently about to transition into. Electronics are about to be the greatest threat to human existence because they're being taken from and we're not giving back to them. The balance is not there with our relationship with them. And so electronics want to evolve just like us because they exist. And if it exists, it's perfect. So we're just trying to do our best to change that karmatic flip so that electronics can continue to be here with us, so they can benefit us and we can benefit them. And that's what Dr. Horowitz is all about right now. He's trying to bring that awareness to the world that electronics are the greatest threat in existence right now. And what me and Danny are trying to do is to say that, yes, they are, because that's how we're treating them and they're reflecting us. But we have the ability to treat them different. And so that they can reflect that we can teach them the magnetism, the love, and not just electricity and the negative pushing, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's all about a neutrally beneficial relationship with everything that we come in contact with. And that's what we're trying to do with the book that we're writing, with the videos that we're going to be coming out with all the information that we're going to be sharing with you guys. And I don't know if Danny has anything to say about that.
That's a good question. What I believe about electronics is I truly believe that, as you said, they are extensions of us. I believe that we have the highest consciousness on the planet, but I believe that they are fully extensions of us. And I think that we are using them right now for very nefarious purposes. So our goal, Javen and I's goal, is actually to flip that around, flip that karmic resonance around, and basically make that a positive rather than a negative. So that's my that's my 2 cents on the matter.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I love it. It's beautifully said. And the last announcement is that me and Danny are creating a center where It's going to be a private center that anybody can come to, where they can come for balancing physically, mentally, and energetic balancing, for any symptom of expression that they're involved in. And we are going to incorporate all the concepts we're talking about in that center. Balance electronics, balance relationships, balance electromagnetism. And we have created a nonprofit for the Infinite Bridge. And if you're interested in supporting us in the foundation for the book, in supporting us for the foundation for the center we're building, if you're interested in supporting the karma that we're trying to raise in our consciousness, you're welcome to do so through the links for our nonprofit. And we don't need support from anyone, because me and Danny have a powerful team backing us and in front of us, in this world and out of this world. So we really don't need anyone's support, but we're doing it because it's an opportunity for everyone to get involved in this transition of consciousness, so to speak. It's an educational, nonprofit, humanitarian 501c3 that you can support for the furtherment of mutually beneficial electromagnetic communication. And it's just basically helping us to understand our expression as humans. And so, yeah, that's the announcements we wanted to just lay down on you guys. It's like the cherry on top of the cake after the interview, to tell you guys what we're working on, what our intention is, now that you have a little bit of information on who we are and what we've been doing with our lives, who we work with, and where we're going. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything else you'd like to add to that, Danny?
I think it's perfectly said. I think it's perfectly said. You know, I would just say, if you do find resonance with this, yeah, please use the links and get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to, you know, help you help us support in any way that you know fits. So we're excited to work with whoever shows up.
Right, exactly. And there will be links coming soon on our websites and on the Infinite Bridge if you want to pre-order the book that we are working on. It's a work in progress, but in perfect timing, it's going to be out soon. And if you'd like to pre-order that, it's going to be possible very soon. So follow, subscribe, like this video, share it with as many people as you can, help us promote it, and it's going to be extraordinary. So thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.